Good afternoon. This is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding, here to discuss a situation that's happening more often, and it can be very perilous for taxpayers. So we wanted to kind of delve into a little bit and talk about what happens if you're willful and you try to submit to the Streamlined program. There's a lot of legal jargon in that sentence, so let's kind of break it down. When a person has not been compliant with their foreign account reporting and assets and income and all that good stuff, they have to get into compliance. So they don't have to, but they should. There's different programs people can use in order to get into compliance. One of the more common programs is called the Streamlined Filing Compliance Procedures. There's two versions of the program. There's the Streamlined Domestic Offshore Procedures and the Streamlined Foreign Offshore Procedures. Both programs refer to offshore accounts. Domestic is for non-foreign residents, and the Streamlined Foreign is for foreign residents. Back in the day, there was something called OVDP. OVDP was a program that was designed to bring taxpayers into compliance, developed in 2009. That program, back then it was called OVDI. That program didn't differentiate between willful or non-willful. So if Peter had 17 offshore companies in 20 different countries and a whole bunch of different accounts, he submitted to the same program as poor Olga, who has one account in Spain worth $35,000 that she didn't know she had to report. They both have to do 8 years of amended or original returns and 8 years of FBARs and all that kind of jazz. So it was totally unfair to Olga, right? So they developed a streamlining aspect of OVDP within the program, and then that eventually in 2014 led to the standalone Streamlined procedures. The most important aspect of submitting to the Streamlined procedures is that you have to 100% be non-willful. Now, when it comes to willful versus non-willful, there's no bright line test, okay? There's reduced levels of willfulness, reckless disregard, willful blindness. So there's a big gray area, right? Most of the time, you can, experienced practitioners, board certified specialists, this is all they do. They can talk to someone who's considering the programs and get a solid idea of whether they're willful or not. It's pretty rare that someone is able to meet the non-willfulness standard, or better explained, you're not going to convince an experienced attorney that you're non-willful when it's clear that you're willful. Some clients, taxpayers, still want to go streamlined even if they're willful. No experienced practitioner would ever do this, right? But there are some less experienced practitioners or just taxpayers on their own that are willing to do that. They think they're never going to get caught. They talk to an attorney. Attorney doesn't really do this. They say they do, but they have no experience, no legal experience, maybe some accounting background. They tell the client, oh, don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen, right? It's a small amount of money. As a side note, there's no de minimis rule. So even if it's a small amount of money, if you're willful, you're willful. You can't carve out the fact that, maybe you only have a few $1,000s of unreported income versus another guy or gal that has $200,000 worth. If you're willful, then you're willful. Okay. The IRS is very serious about that. And so there's been a few taxpayers along the way that have been starting to get in more trouble for this. And recently, there was an indictment last year, the year before. Now there was another indictment in 2021. So it's important to note that if you're willful, the IRS will come after you. And the problem is, if you're willful and do the Streamlined program and they find you, then it's not just a matter of, oh, they're just going to bump up my penalty a bit. The IRS sees that as fraud and tax evasion. See, when you're doing the Streamlined program, you have to sign a certification. You're signing that certification under penalty of perjury. When you're doing the Streamlined program, you, taxpayer, are stepping out and proactively representing to the IRS that you're non-willful. You're certifying that under penalty of perjury. If the IRS finds that you did that and you were willful, well, that's a form of evasion and fraud, because you're knowingly and intentionally seeking to reduce your penalty or reduce your tax liability amount. The IRS takes that very seriously. It's a form of see it as like a cousin of a quiet disclosure. So instead of quietly disclosing, you're falsifying your submission. And if the IRS finds you, it could result in criminal penalties. It could result in jail time. It's not common that taxpayers go to prison, especially for FBAR stuff. But if it's because the taxpayer, either by themselves or they were recommended by counsel, sometimes counsel will recommend you over to a CPA and use some kind of Covell magic that doesn't work, it could be a serious problem. So if you're willful, you should not do the Streamlined program. Whether you want to make a disclosure or not, that's up to each taxpayer. No attorney or tax professional can force you, and you shouldn't be forced. When you're ready, you should make a disclosure. If you're out of compliance and you're not sure and you want to get a lay of the land, you should speak with experienced tax professionals, attorneys. The experienced ones would be, attorneys for at least 20 years, be board certified, have the advanced degrees, normally dual licensed. Talk to one, talk to five, get an idea. You'll find that no experienced practitioner would ever recommend that you do the Streamlined program if you're willful. We have lots of free information on our main website, goldinglawyers.com, and our sub-websites. If appropriate, you can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.